Hi y'all, we're gonna go ahead and go over lesson 5, which is analyzing possible errors in a hypothesis test. So let's go ahead and go over the main idea. A researcher has spent a lot of money and grant money. Sorry. A researcher has spent a lot of time and grant money on a project. They have done everything right. Collected a random sample of independently chosen people to participate, conducted a controlled experiment. The data has been checked and verified that the sampling distribution indeed can be modeled by a normal distribution. The sample mean is more than 2.5 standard deviations from the hypothesized mean, and the researcher wants to submit their work for proof in favor of the alternative hypothesis. But wait, what if the conclusion is wrong? With a significance level of alpha equals 0.05, we're actually building in a 5% chance of error, incorrectly rejecting the null hypothesis. So this is saying that there is a 5% chance of being wrong. If researchers run the same experiment 20 times, we would expect one of those experiments to be an error. What if this experiment is the error? Who could be hurt by this error? But what if the researcher is right and doesn't publish the results? This would also be an error, incorrectly failing to reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative. Who could be hurt by this error? So, to put this into context or to apply it to a real life situation, a US citizen is innocent until proven guilty, right? That's something that we've always heard. The jury must feel like it has significant evidence in order to convict you of a crime. Could they make an error? What kind of errors could the judge make? Which error is worse? So, let's come up with our two hypotheses. We know that HO is going to be you're innocent until proven guilty. So HA, what the jury is trying to prove, what the lawyers are trying to prove, is that you are guilty. So if HA is true, that means you're innocent. And if HA is true, that means you're guilty. Okay. So let's say you were to reject HO. If you reject HO, the person would go to jail or be fined, depending on the situation. Okay. But let's say you rejected HO, but HO is actually true. This is going to be a type 1 error. All right. This is alpha equals 5%. Okay. And if you reject HO because HA is true, then you're good. If we reject HO, that means that HA is true and we're good. Right? So we actually did prove that they were guilty and they were actually guilty. Failing to reject HO means that the person is let free. Okay. So if we fail to reject HO and HO is true, then we're good. Okay. But let's say that you fail to reject HO, you let this person go free, but the person is actually guilty. Now this becomes a type 2 error. And this is beta. And we're going to learn about this in lesson 6, so don't worry too much about it yet. So here's some definitions. Type 1 error is when you reject HO, but HO is true. So in this case, this means that you said the person was innocent. Sorry. In this case, the person was innocent, but you rejected HO, so you said that they weren't, and now they're in jail. Type 2 error is when you fail to reject HO. But it turns out that HA is true. So this means that you let a guilty person, I cannot spell that, you let a guilty person go free. Okay. So depending on the problem, there's going to be different consequences for the different types of errors that we make. But we also have different severities when making these type of errors. So let's go ahead and go through the model problem. Again, we have this angiogram, and we want it so that the machines are making 2 millimeter diameters of this catheter, and we would stop the machine if it wasn't 2 millimeters. So our HO is going to be mu equals 2 millimeters, and I only write this out because it helps me create my type 1 and type 2 error analysis. And HA is mu does not equal to 2 millimeters. So a type 1 error means that I rejected HO, but HO is true. So in this case, in this context, we said the diameters are not 2 millimeters, which caused manufacturing to stop. All right. This leads to the company losing time and money. Okay. That is for a type 1 error. For a type 2 error, this is when we fail to reject HO, but HA is true. So that means that the machine was actually creating bad catheters, but we didn't stop the machine, right? If patients get the bad catheters, they could die. So in this case, the type 2 error is more severe than the type 1 error, right? One error causes a person's life to be at risk, while another just makes a company lose money. Okay. Go ahead and complete the practice problems and then check your answers on Google Classroom. I've also posted a link for you to get more practice on Khan Academy. You just have to type in the tiny URL so that you can get more practice.